Alright guys, so it was Marty versus Q. This was their third game. Marty was able to redeem himself. He doesn't have to take handicap stones next time. How's that feel, Marty?
We'll see what happens next time.
So let's see how it went. So Black chose this one, which is fine. A little two-dimensional, like 2D, right? Well, when I look, this stone is low and this stone is low, Marty. So I think.
You think it should be high?
Yeah, you could have played somewhere over here,
Sure.
here, or you could have even played like over here. I think this would have been the more productive, three-dimensional shape that we all like desire, right? But when we have two stones here, this lights up. This is like a bell in my head, which Q hit right on the mark, right? So he's trying to keep these stones low, and now you see he has this beautiful big place to develop, right? So that's why I don't like this move compared to playing something on this side.
Yeah.
So let's see. So you played the Shusaku diagonal. It's fine. Then you did expand on this side, which is good. And this is the next best step to expand on. And then you came back. Very old school moves, Marty. Here and here for sure.
Yep.
Now modern days you'll see this more often, right?
Yep.
So it's very old stuff, but it's good. I mean, it's fine. It works. For Q, this move, I don't like it, but I'm not sure how to explain it. Well, why I don't like it. I think it's fine, I guess. I think the problem is that when I look at both sides, black is developing faster than white, and so black is already starting to get this big area, and so if black develops faster than white does, then black's just going to win the game, right? If black makes more points than whites, he wins. So instead, that's the $1 million question, what you should do. Maybe even something subtle like this. Even though it's building also, and it's kind of low with this stone, what it is doing is developing a large wall here, which is helping you develop this side, which is your most developable side. So by building a bigger wall here, it makes this breadbasket bigger. Does that make sense, Q?
Yeah.
But what you play is you've kind of put a lid on this breadbasket, right? You put a pot lid, I guess. And so now this is as big as it's gonna get, right? For now. And so there's a big difference between a move like this and a move like this, right? Not only is this making a big wall and helping you develop this side, but it's also making you secure more of the corner. So this corner is starting to become bigger. So I like this idea. This would be more of an old school move, which does work better with this stone. So you might want to consider it. If Marty's playing old school moves, why not you, right? And so I kind of like this idea of playing this even more so. But this is the more modern style of helping protect your corner and still building a big wall. So that's why I don't like this one, because I feel like it limits what you could have made. And Marty did, I think, a good job of hitting this here, because it becomes kind of awkward for white. If white kicks, this feels a little over concentrated. And then black, would get a good position over here, which would be really good for black. So I know that's why you pincered. The problem with pincering this stone is, the idea is you want them either here or here. But even here, this stone is too low now. So once again, this stone feels a little weird. If it was higher, we can see how aggressive it is against this group. But because it's lower, it doesn't feel like it puts that much pressure on this. So anyway, Marty jumped in the corner, which was fine. This was good. And you blocked in this direction, which I think in both directions you have an equal amount of development, so I don't think either matters. Maybe this has a little more development just because the corner's not settled yet, but either way, I think both was fine, so this is fine. You broke the tiger's mouth, that's correct. Marty once again rock and go like it's 2010. This is the old style, very very old style. This actually isn't what I taught you, Marty. But it's been a long time since I've seen it because you haven't faced the Sanrensei in a very long time. So instead, I taught you this one, which is I think far better and more modern. Uh,
Okay.
do you
Okay.
remember? Do you remember this one?
Yeah, I was reading the Joseki Revolution or Fuseki Revolution, and he talked about the old school thing, and I thought, which gives you sente?
Yeah, this new one. Oh, the old one. Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old one still does give you Sente. So, I mean, if you're still enjoying these like 2010 moves, I'm all for it because these are moves I know, right? This is what I studied. I've been playing way before the AI, so
Right.
all this I know. So what I can tell you is it's very old school and it still works. So feel free, I guess. Most of your Kisiedo books, all the books that um, have this old style, right? Because most of
Yep.
those books are from the 70s and 80s, except the newest one, which is the one you're talking about, the Fuseki Revolution by Shibano. But anyway, still very good. Also, Q, you answered correctly. So very good. The outside's more important than the inside, right? So if you played something like this would have been very wrong, right? Because then black can get out and it would be very painful. So you playing the correct move was nice. So far, I don't have too many complaints from either player. This is a minor complaint, well, in the first move. Teaches you about direction of play. You could call it major if we're talking about opening theory. And then this move so far was just low. So I'm sure looking at this now, Q, with your 4 stone wall, doesn't it feel silly, the stone here?
Yeah, yeah,
Like, if you were to play the next move, you wouldn't play here, right? You'd play something over here, right?
yeah.
So that's why this move looks really silly and inefficient. So that's why I didn't like it when you first played it here. Um, so hopefully you can take that as a lesson. So when you have something like this, if you were just trying to make a base, that's fine, I guess. But ideally, you want to have a 5 space extension from your star point. So this would have been better than this because this is only a 3 space extension from your star point. That's why it looks really off and awkward to me and not right. So instead, something you can take away from this lesson is expanding your corners. So this is a very nice move in almost all instances. So just keep these moves in mind. This one looks a little weird because it just looks strange with this, and then this isn't the side to develop from because black's already here. But this one, white is high, right? Is really high up off the ground, and so this is the side to develop. So Marty, I think that's fine. So this is a very peaceful opening. There hasn't been any big battles, and I think Marty took the lead in points, right? And so Marty has the bigger development and has the corner. And so this is where White has to start coming up with some invasions and breaking points to break up this area. At the time, you didn't, and this is your losing strategy here, Q. I'm not saying this is a bad, terrible move or anything, but the idea is that black is making more than you. So even if you try and build up your development, if black also builds up his development, he's gonna win. He's gonna win by points. So now is the time to evaluate, that yes, black has more points than you. So you need to find really good invasions to break up this area. You can do some attachments. Here's some Joseki that you didn't could have used at any point, even much later in the game when we're like this far along. I think probably before the stone, you could have played something like this Q. So we can quickly just take a look if you want to see what I did. Here's the Joseki button on the OGS tab. I don't know if you guys has anybody used this. I know you've seen me show it to you, but has anybody like used this themselves after a game or something?
I use it. I
Yeah,
use
I
it.
do. I don't
Yeah.
remember anything. That's a different
Right.
problem.
Right. All right. Yeah. So it's very useful if you think you got a bad rap. If you think you got a bad position, then you can check it out here. But essentially, we can set up what was here, and now we can see that there's many, many, many moves. But the two most recommended are these two, A and B. So if we'll look at the most common one, which is black protecting the corner, right? To me, this is very natural. I have a black stone here. I have a black stone here. I want to connect it and keep my corner. Um, White will do what I call the dancing hane. This is a hane, and then white hanes again. To me, like white's trying to dance around black. So I've coined that term called the dancing hane. So now we have two options for black. For me, I would Atari, which is the number one choice. Puts white in a good position, but it also puts black in a good position where we end up taking the full corner. So now white has two choices. I don't think most players would know this. Naturally, I think players would play this. We can go over both just quickly, but we can very much see that this is a very basic movement, right? Like I think you guys would all know how to play something like this. And so it all stems from this attachment. And then instead of playing a hard move, we play what's called a light move. This would be like a very hard move and make you heavy. This is a light move because we're opening this up to sacrifice. Now, of course, it doesn't get sacrificed, but we are opening it up to a sacrifice, right? So, anyway, yeah. So, I mean, lastly, we could take a quick look at this, but you see black pulls out, white jumps away, and then black takes the corner, and then white goes for some side stuff. So very simple things, but this is something you can take away, Q, is that when somebody plays this large knight moves, you can practice this, and if you want to go further, you can like really read everything and look through all this. Of course, if I read and tell you this now, you wouldn't memorize it, right? You gotta do it more than once, and you have to practice it, maybe every morning, like over your coffee or something. But this is a very good tool, and in this game, it was very relevant, so that's why I wanted to bring it up. For Marty, I think I'd be happy just getting some security in these points.
Yeah.
Doing like
Yeah.
a shoulder hit would be nice. If you're getting fifth line territory, you're kind of doing well. White is also kind of gaining something, so maybe that's why you didn't want to play it. But once white gives you Sente, you'll be in a good position. One, you can either start winning the running race, right, which would be excellent for black.
Right.
Or two, white can play here, and now this kind of becomes a thank you move. So now you can come over here and like cap or play something to break up this area. Or you could just keep building, because I think you would win if you just build your territory. So either way, you come out with some good options with something like this. This is my opinion here. This did lead you open to some. This was very damaging when he played here, so that's why it's to me. You definitely should put something here. Still, you going for the start point in this big section was a winning strategy in this case for this game. So it was okay, but I still like this much better. Once again, rocking the old school move, right? Staying away from the AI stuff, which once is also fine, right? Because like I said, I can definitely teach you the old stuff, and it works very well. Even at my level, if I played like all old school moves, I think I'd be somewhat okay. But to be honest, at 1Q, I think or 1 Dan, they would know all the modern stuff, and so I don't know.
Right.
I've actually played Q's father, who played an old school way, right? And I was just dominating him for most of the game, and I just made a little slip up at the end, and that's all it takes, right? But you could really see the difference between like an old school style versus a new one when I played his dad. Would you agree, Q?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Q, your dad plays Go.
Yeah. He's
What a
much
lucky
better than
person you are.
I think I told him the exact same thing. I was like, he's really lucky. He has a lot of advantages. I wish I had when I was young. Um,
Yeah, I'm Korean and it helps. It's just cultural thing, I think.
yeah. Um, all right. So yeah, very old school move, very old school response. It's all fine, I think, for now. Um, I think this was even good too. I mean, you're just really building. Like, it's just you're doing a fine job of building, Marty. Um, this was interesting for me. I would have played here, but this actually looks like it works a little bit better. It actually becomes hard for me to find a like. Well, it's not that hard, but like I kind of want to play here to break up this connection because when you play this, it allows black to connect here.
Mm,
You can see that even if there's Ataris, like um, black is fine, right?
right.
So this would have been a nice little connection here. In fact, I thought that's why you played this move, Marty, instead of this one, was to try and connect to this group.
If only.
um, so for Q, there's a few options. One of them would have been this one, which breaks the connection, but does leave a weakness, but you'd be fine. The other is this Tiger's Mouth. I think that the connection is still here, but you also get a nice hugging move. So that's something. But this also is okay. Regardless, White got the best exchange out of this because of this move. So this was a really nice find for you, Q. And this was a nice defense, Marty, but you didn't follow up with it.
Yeah.
So you could have played here, which would have been nice. This looks a little slow to me, Q. What do you think would be a better shape here? We can go through it, right? We got the empty triangle. We have this. We got the table shape. We have an almost bamboo shoot. Yeah. So what do you think would be a better shape than this one?
I was thinking of just not touching that and playing like J14 or something, but
J14. This also looks okay. Yeah, but I don't know. I guess to me, I really like this table shape the most, just because you're just expanding just a little bit more, right? This one doesn't have an expansion and actually has a shape weakness, right? And so this would look really bad
okay.
if you had to make a double empty triangle. So that's why I really like this. See, this move actually prevents this bad shape, right? So that's why I like this table shape. So this is something you can consider when you're trying to fix like some shape like this. Let's see. So this was fine. This was good. This is good. This looks a little ambitious. I think black can try and cap here. Maybe even play something like this first and then play something here. But so black just went for the cut. This one
Yeah,
looks a
this
little.
was
Yeah, this
yeah.
is too dangerous, I think, Marty.
Yep.
Because all he has to
Yep.
do is protect one group, and now you're in trouble.
That's what he did.
Yeah. So yeah, this cut, even though it's the infamous shape, the surrounding stones make it dangerous, right? Because
Yeah.
if you were in the local situation, you're fine, right? You can make the pinwheel, you're fine. But because these stones are here, now you're not fine, right? And so that's what even though locally this is correct, it's not correct in this situation.
I did screw up here a little bit, but
Yeah, I
a little
see.
bit after this.
Yeah, I see. There's some weaknesses with this, but it looks okay.
Yeah, this is where I screwed. I shouldn't have given Marty that wall. That kind of took away all my space to the left.
Yeah. This was great for Marty. So Marty used your sacrifice perfectly. But at the same time, when I look at this, I feel like you have to Q, because if you don't, then all these stones are gonna die, right?
Yeah.
Like if you don't protect this or kill this group. Although I think this might have been the slow move. I think if you cut this way, or maybe you can just play it here. Even if he plays this, you have a lot of liberties, right? And he doesn't.
Yeah.
And so, I think even if he cuts, you can get away with something like this. Because if he plays this, then he's just dead.
Yeah.
And so you had enough liberties to leave this cut alone. So this is where your mistake was. This is the mistake here. And so by playing this, it gave Marty one extra move, which Marty played excellently. So very good job, Marty. Did you know that these stones were going to die and you were going to use them as a sacrifice to kill these?
Well, I knew that I knew after a few moves they weren't going to make it.
Okay. Well, very, very amazing job of using your sacrifice. Using your
And I would like,
sacrifice.
yeah,
Go
and I
ahead.
would like to compliment Q on bringing those two stones back to life, because if I thought they had any chance of surviving, I would have killed them again.
Yeah, they didn't. They shouldn't have survived, and I'll show you because I did get to see that part. Um, But yeah, using your sacrifice is a very high level technique I don't see double digit Q players use often or very well. Right? Even once again, to bring up your dad, of course, this isn't good for the YouTube review because they don't know what we're talking about. But if you remember Q, with your dad, he made like some cuts around here, and then he had all this opportunity to use the sacrifice. Right? He was able to get a bunch of free moves. Do you remember how I was explaining that to you? Maybe
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. The
maybe it's
bottom left hit.
yeah, maybe it was vague, but yeah, he had all these moves where he could have Atari'd me and used the sacrifice to get an amazing shape, and he didn't, and I was very surprised because it's a high level technique, right? Whether your dad is one dan or four or five Q, which I think he's really at, but whether he's there or one dan, you should be able to use sacrifice skills. That's a very high level technique that should be used, and so even if your dad's a pretty strong player, but even he misses those, right? And so for Marty to use the sacrifice so beautifully, I'm just complimenting it. Like it's always good as a teacher to see that you use the skills I teach you, right? It's like the biggest compliment you can give me is to use what I teach you. So it's very, very, very nicely done.
Thank you.
So let's see. I'll start speeding up a little bit more. Because all these moves look pretty normal and regular. The problem for UQ, like I said, this area was just too big. And so you never invaded it, and so you lost, right? Because this is how Marty won. He ended up just taking everything. So the real key to this game for you, Q, and what to take away from it is when somebody builds something this big and you can't build, like clearly this is more bigger than whatever you can get because Black is already alive in this corner. So that means you're already losing. So now that means you have to become aggressive and invading, right? You gotta become invadey. If I can use that word. You gotta become invadey. Because if you don't, you're gonna lose, which is essentially what happens. So once you found a lull, a period where nothing is in danger, you needed to come up with some type of moves that would break up this area. And you tried lightly over here, which was a good result for you. You did come out on top with this. But you need to keep up the act, right? You got to keep going. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, so because you didn't, this is why you lost. This is the main reason and something that you can take away from this. In Marty's last review, this happened, right, Marty? You didn't invade the left side,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you lost because he just had more points than you, and you never was able to get a big invasion at the time. You did get one in the corner, but it wasn't big enough. So something that both of you guys can learn is just evaluating who's in the lead. And if they are in the lead and you can't catch up, right? You can't build enough points to win, which is true in this case. then you need to find a way to break theirs, right? Because if you make a big invasion and they don't get all their points, then your good enough is good enough. So that's the main takeaway for you, Q. The rest of this stuff, a lot of it is local, local fighting techniques and stuff. I can still look a little longer, but I just wanted to give you the gist of why you lost already, right?
Yeah.
Marty, I think you could have been a little greedy, but you're already winning, so I guess you're fine. Because this was huge, right? Like, I'm sure at this point of the game, you felt like once you got this and this, you were already like in a big lead.
I thought it was huger. I mean,
Yeah,
so
yeah. Yeah. Because white has very little here, and very little here. So black's already leading huge in a huge, big, really big way. So like I said, most of the rest of the stuff is little techniques. Your idea of trying to kill this is good, but it still might not even be enough, even if you do kill this Q. Just because this is so big. So even if you didn't think you could live in here, Q, that you're still losing, right? And so you need to try something, whether you're gonna make it or not. And I think something like this would have been nice for you, because there's a lot you can kind of try and get away with here. For Marty could try and be more aggressive. It's a gamble. It's pretty tough to find a good move to stop third line invasions like this. So that's all I can really say in this case. But other than that, I mean, we can just take a very small look here. So one thing that you did, Q, a lot, like I said, was you made these pushes on the walls, right? So you can build something and he can lose a little. But since you're so far behind, it's just not good enough. I think you get that. I'm not gonna harp on it that much more. If you're wondering if you could have done something here, Q, I think Marty had it. Because even if he just plays like this and this now, he already has 1 and 2 eyes. So it's very simple that Marty should be able to live here without much problem. I mean, there was some openings, I'm sure. Like maybe if you played this right now, and he had to play this, right? Because he can't play here. This is now you can see there's no eye space in here. So for Marty, this was a bad move, I think. Instead, if you play this one, it kind of forces him, even if he plays here and you connect, you kind of got a good result out of this, right?
yeah,
So I think this move would have been much better. But by playing this, it does allow Q to kind of mess things up here.
Yeah.
I guess technically you do get to connect still, so maybe maybe he just didn't have anything here. But when I look at the shape, I do see the weakness here, and I do see the strength here, right? And so I don't know, this move's just calling to me, even though it's not even the best move, right? Because efficiently you could play something like this and then come back. But I think Marty was safe here no matter what, Q. That's my point. I think you were in trouble, or you weren't gonna have a good time here. Because he can always just make any moves. Like when you played this, Marty, I was thinking this is the biggest move you can make. But for me, I might have just like played something a little lighter. But either way, this still works out. So yeah, there's nothing. This double,
yeah, that was.
it doesn't even work because you save yourself here.
Oh yeah.
So I noticed you defended yourself somewhere like this. You defended yourself here.
Yes. That's because I saw that double Atari and didn't realize I could save myself.
Yeah, yep. So this move is like hitting the pass button, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I saw that and I cringed a little. Yeah, so since there's no invasion here, there's nothing to talk about here.
Okay.
This is the last part of the game that was interesting, right? Did you need to say something, Marty, or are you gonna go or
I
something?
just, if there's any way that I could have prevented this, I would love to learn.
So this is the part I was watching, and this was the Atari, I think. That makes it a problem. I think if you played here,
Hmm.
let me see. There's so many factors in this. Yeah, you'd be fine here. And even if he plays here, you play here, white can make two eyes there, so I guess that's something. I think, well, now you could definitely just take this. You could also just play here.
Then I thought he would come on top.
If he does, then you can connect,
Oh,
right? If he plays this, you can connect.
oh, oh.
If he plays this, you can kill him. So he can't play this. If he plays this, you can clamp if you want, and you can connect
I
on
see.
either side.
Wow. Yeah,
And
obviously, I didn't see that.
I think you could break this eye here. So, yeah, this would be the invasion point here. And this is something I told you before, right? When you have a large knight's move, this is the first point you should look. It's the shape point, right? And so this is this would have been the killer move. But for Q, good tenacity, right? Like you had the will of the lion, right? The heart of the lion. You didn't want to give up, and you were able to make two eyes. Let me just see one more thing.
I think he could have taken my those 3 or the 4 stones in the bottom to there too.
Bottom, very possibly. But to
At the
kill,
end.
I'm just looking at this. To kill Marty, you could have played here, because he can't make this an eye.
Right, 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 right.
So he would play this, right? And then
I
you
see.
can kind of play what you want.
Yeah, I see. Wow.
Yeah, he can't play here. He can't
But then
play
it's
here.
co. But then
No,
it's co.
even if he takes the ko, this isn't a second eye.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
So here was another way to kill him, which was this throw in Tetsuji.
Or after I take the ko, I could just play at B15.
E15.
I could after the ko.
Okay.
After
Yes, yeah.
So this could be a ko. So let's pretend. Let's see both sides, right? So let's see if Marty wins this ko. Can you live, right? You said to play this, right? But this is a false eye. And this is a false eye, so the ko continues. But now even yeah. If you're able to connect the ko, then you can make two eyes. So it all depends on this ko, and it would take Marty 2 ko wins in order to even make this live. So, all right. I mean, it's interesting to look at, but if we go all the way back, honestly, it just stems from right here.
Ah, wow.
So that's really what it stems to. But yeah, this does help Marty, but I do see that this is a 2-step ko, which it's hard to win 2 ko threats in a row, right?
Yep.
But all right, that was mainly it for Q. Be more aware of, who's building faster. So if we get to this point, right, where black can make more points than you can right now, then we should find ways to invade. Some invasion points would have been here. This is a very well-known invasion point. It's the super large knight, right? But then here's the weakness here. Because you can see if when black plays something like this, you can clamp down. This is a very well-known technique and save yourself. Or if black plays this to protect itself, then white can come out and make eyes here. So this is a good invasion point for white. I don't expect you to memorize those quick variations, but understanding that this is a weakness here, when they use this old school move, this move here, this is a well-known weakness to it. Over here, like I said, this attachment is good, and this one too. So you can use these. But that's what you can take away from this queue is, if they have more points than you, then you have to find ways to break up their moyo. For Marty, biggest takeaway I can give you, you won pretty well, so the only thing most of the stuff I can give you is just local techniques, right? Like this was a good connection. This was an amazing sacrifice. Finally at the end, this point here, which we talked about, the weakness of the large knight, right? So a lot of this stuff is just local technique for you. I think you had your moyo mindset and you did a great job keeping it, and so that was it. You guys have any questions?
I don't.
Nope.
I hope you guys learned something from this. Marty, congrats on not having to take handicap next time. One step closer to 7Q, right, Marty?
Yeah.
And for you, Q, we're finding your weaknesses, so we're gonna patch them up, right? And so you can just become more solid and keep moving forward.
Sounds good.
All right, Q, thank you for the game. Thanks for the lesson, Michael.